Huh. Joe Biden won.
COMMSQUAD News Flash with your host, Mike News.
Hello everyone and welcome to CommSquad News Flash. This is a news segment brought to you by the faculty and I am your host, Mike Miz. Today we're going to be talking about three things. Number one, the recent Budget 2021 vote in the Malaysian Parliament, where it was passed at the policy stage amidst huge controversy last week. Number two, the just concluded 2020 US elections, which was won by Joe Biden, who defeated, And number three, the war of words between France and Turkey, whose president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, recently suggested his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, get mental checks. I know it's crazy. Let's explore each thing in turn.
Budget 2021.
The current ruling Perikatan Nasional Coalition passed their inaugural budget for 2021 last Thursday, the 26th of November. Now you may be asking, Ms., why is this important? Well, a budget vote typically serves as a test of confidence for any government, and failure to pass it will put pressure on them to resign office and call for elections. On that fateful day, Speaker of Dewan Rakyat, Azhar Azizan Harun, called for a voice vote following Finance Minister Tengku Zafrul's winding-up speech, with both government and opposition lawmakers making themselves heard throughout without a clear vocal majority. Azhar then called for those opposing the bill to stand up and be counted, with a minimum 15 lawmakers needed to oppose the voice vote to fail, and MPs would be divided for paper ballot voting. However, he later announced to the lower house that there were insufficient nays as opposed to ayes, with only 13 lawmakers standing up to object. The budget was then passed with a simple voice vote. It was not immediately clear who were those lawmakers who stood up to oppose the budget, but pictures posted by politicians on social media showed former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and his son Datuk Seri Mukesh Mahathir did. Also seen standing were several Parti Amanah Negara MPs, namely Shah Alam MP Khalid Abdul Samad and Pokok Sena MP Datuk Mahfuz Omar. Oddly, many opposition MPs who were teasing about voting against the budget did not even stand to call for the vote. This includes the leader of the opposition, Anwar Ibrahim, and former Mahathir protege Syed Saddiq. The budget will now go on to the committee stage for specific allocations to be debated and voted on. But one thing is for certain, it looks like Perikatan Nasional will be here for at least another year.
The 2020 US presidential election.
Now on to less depressing news, the 2020 US presidential elections. Now after 4 years of the Big Orange sitting in the White House, the US elected former Barack Obama Vice President Joe Biden as the president. Now this is a big deal, people. Biden promises as president to, among others, reinstate the Iran nuclear deal, rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement, and most importantly, promise to heal the divide tearing America apart in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests earlier this year. However, the first thing on his agenda is to tackle the coronavirus pandemic ravaging his country. With over 13 million cases, the US has the highest number of cases of any country in total and proportion. So Joe's got a lot on his plate from day one. But I'm optimistic, people. Throughout his career, he has built a reputation as a bridge builder, frequently reaching across the aisle to his enemies to get stuff done. He is also a very compassionate and hardworking man, but on second thought, I guess anyone is, well, compared to Trump.
Also, I knew he was gonna win since January, so I just thought I'd get it out there.
I wish him all the best, and as his supporters say on the campaign trail, invoking FDR, I know Joe, we know Joe, but most importantly, Joe knows us.
Turkey versus France.
Our final segment today is about Turkey and France, two historical European heavyweights, the former built on a modernist Islamic structure and the other founded on the maxim liberty, equality, and fraternity. In late October, France recalled its ambassador to Turkey after Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan insulted his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. He said Mr. Macron needed a mental health check for pledging to defend secular values and fight radical Islam. Mr. Macron has spoken out forcefully on these issues after a French teacher was murdered for showing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in class. Depictions of the Prophet Muhammad can cause serious offense to Muslims because Islamic tradition explicitly forbids images of Muhammad and Allah. But state secularism, or as the French call it, laïcité, is central to France's national identity. Curbing freedom of expression to protect the feeling of one particular community, the state says, undermines the country's unity. Now, France says we will not give up our cartoons. Macron said this in a speech addressing his country after the attacks. And in response, Mr. Erdogan asked in a speech, "What is the problem of this individual called Macron with Islam and with Muslims?" He added, "Macron needs treatment on a mental level. What else can be said about a head of state who does not understand freedom of belief and who behaves in this way to millions of people living in his country who are members of a different faith," referencing Muslims. Now, in my opinion, guys, I think these two guys need to take a step back and think about what they're really trying to do. Because insulting each other will only incite more violence on both sides, and I'm sure it is something nobody wants. But when a country of 100 years of secularism as its founding principle and another which has Islam as its guiding principle, and these two forces come to a head, there is always bound to be conflict. Who's right and who is wrong? I'll let you be the judge. Okay guys, so that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in to CommSquad News Flash, and I'm your host Mike Miz. Until the next time, and in the eternal words of Childish Gambino, stay woke.